Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Co-Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you having a fantastic day wherever we are around the world, as I can get my words out. How are we, chat? Hopefully, all of you having a good evening. Like I said, wherever we are around the world. And of course, we do have a busy, packed show for you guys. Of course, we're going to talk more about, of course, Florian Wirtz and the whole bid situation. Of course, we do have some. Well, I say some. We do have plenty of news concerning Florian Wirtz. Of course, not only him. Of course, like we mentioned earlier on, we're going to talk obviously more on. Kelleher obviously going to Brentford for £18 million, which again I think a lot of people, judging from a few comments, are not happy about with the price as well. We'll talk a little bit about that. Of course, we'll talk about Milos Kerkez as well. Bid supposed to be coming in next week for him. Of course, we'll talk all about that, and Harvey Elliott potentially leaving the football club as well. Could be linked with, of course, the Florian Wirtz news as well anyway. But we will kickstart the show talking about Luis Diaz. Of course, looks like he is going to be leaving towards Saudi, of course. So again, let me know your guys' thoughts, because it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? We spoke about it a couple of nights ago about how again, obviously, Luis Diaz put out that cryptic post, didn't he? Thanking everyone, thanking all the fans for his time at the football club. And then, of course, it did sound like a goodbye. Of course, but his wife now has also put out pretty much a goodbye note, really. Of course, it is taken, as you guys can see by there anyway. So this is what she had to say. I believe this is on Instagram as well, as it does say by there. To the incredible Liverpool fans, from the first day we arrived, we felt firsthand what it meant to be part of this club. We knew the slogan was "You never walk alone," but to hear them sing it with so much passion, support us every moment and show us unconditional love, confirmed to us that here you never walk alone. This fan doesn't stop supporting. It feels, and what you have made my boyfriend and our entire family feel is something we carry in our souls. Thank you so much, so much for the love, for much dedication, and for making us feel home. Being part of this fans is a privilege. There's no doubt that they're the best in the world. This is a real bond, deep and strong, reaffirms that you will never walk alone as well. And of course, it does, again, this is taken on Twitter, but still the majority of people are having the same type of thought process, that again, this is Luis Diaz, saying goodbye, really. And of course, obviously, this is his family, putting this type of statement out as well. So I do think there is some sense to it. Look, at the end of the day, Lucho has been with the team now since 2019? Not 2019, sorry, since 2020. 2022, hasn't he? Lucho has been at the football club since as well. So I think looking at it, of course, obviously, we mentioned in terms of earlier on, we spoke about it, how the Saudi Pro League and looking how that works, and kind of getting the grasp of it, of going, well, how much is it going to take to get Luis Diaz out of Liverpool? I said earlier on that for me, if somebody like a Matoma from Brighton was going around for £90 million, then you've surely got to put Luis Diaz in that same conversation of around £90 million. For Saudis, of course. Obviously, if it's Europe, then it's more. Really, no joking, but it's a very interesting conversation, and it's also the conversation of how do you replace him? Because I think on the market, we mentioned earlier on that I kind of look at it and go, there's no real options really to upgrade on him. Look, you could sign an up and coming left winger. I know obviously Fofana from Lyon has had a pretty good breakthrough year in France, but are you going to really rely on a youngster coming through, and then you've got Cody Gakpo on the left? Of course, you could switch Dominic Szoboszlai to the left, or you could, if Liverpool do end up signing him, Florian Wirtz to the left-hand side as well. Of course, they are options that Liverpool could easily go to, but I think for an out-and-out winger, or the type of player that Luis Diaz is, for me, it's a very rare find to go out and just automatically get a replacement for. I think Liverpool at the time were very much fortunate the fact that Lucho was on the market to begin with, when we knew Sadio Mane was going to be leaving the football club, and we needed to replace him at that time. Of course, obviously Sadio stayed 6 more months, and of course we know Lucho was his replacement. But for me, I don't know if it feels different in that aspect of things. Like, for me, I think Liverpool should keep hold of Lucho for next season. But again, if his family are already communicating that he's going, then look, Liverpool have to really think about how do they replace him, really. And of course, that you've got options on the market. Of course you do. You've got Rafael Leao, like I mentioned. You've got Anthony Gordon that's still there. There are plenty of options, but I feel like certainly towards more like Anthony Gordon-esque, you're going to be overpaying for him. You're easily going to be overpaying for a Lucho replacement quite easily, and that's a problem, really. And look, for me, the qualities that he does bring to the team, I would keep Lucho, don't sell him. But again, if the communication is he's going to be leaving, then look, we have to start thinking about replacements, really. And let's be honest, the market for left wingers is pretty poor at the moment in time, anyway. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but again, let me know your guys' thoughts down below as well. Big up Ozan as well, saying it's I'm late. I'm not late this time. Big up Con as well. Hope you're doing well, Ozan. I hope we get a decent fee for Lucho. Well, like I said, if Matoma's going for 90, how much is Lucho going for? And I don't think it's unrealistic, Liverpool, to ask for £90 million from Saudi. If Matoma is going for that type of price, then Lucho should be going for that type of price, or if not even more. But as we've seen from today with Kelleher, realistically, Liverpool might even ask for a bit less in many ways. But for me, I personally think Liverpool should 100% be asking around 70, 80, 90 million pounds for him, because then you can use that money then to pretty much guarantee you signing going on to sign a replacement. But again, Liverpool will have an idea of who they want, to be fair as well. But I hope we keep Diaz. As you say, no real upgrades for the money we'd get. No, I don't think there is any upgrades, really, because you do look at the market and it is a very poor market. Like, look, Liverpool, in an ideal world, Liverpool should have signed Kvaratskhelia 6 months ago, and that's the type of signing where, again, you look at him last night at PSG and go, yeah, Liverpool really missed the trick, really, with him, and we did. There's no hiding that. But again, you can't realistically sign Kvaratskhelia when you've got Lucho, you've got Cody, you've got Darwin, Jota, everybody's still at the football club, really. And you can't really do anything in that aspect of things either. So again, it's a shame. If Kvaratskhelia was on the market right now, I would plead Liverpool to go on and try and complete the deal now if he was available, but unfortunately he's not. And again, people might, you might even look at PSG. Look at last night, for example, somebody like a Barcola, who's, could he potentially be available? But you're talking stupid money even for him. I know people would automatically go, oh, well, there was rumors of Real Madrid saying that Rodrigo was available for 80 million euros. No, I don't think he's the answer either. But again, Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, they'll have their obviously laptops and data, for example, or who they know and who they think will replace Lucho if he does end up going. For me, like I said, I don't want him to go personally, because I think what he does offer Liverpool and the qualities he does offer us is just severely outweighs the other, then, really, in my opinion anyway. But if you were FSG, would you take 75 mil offer? Well, that's the other thing as well, is because how much is too much to turn down for a player like Luis Diaz? You're going to get that same type of offer again for him? No, you're not. And if the club think that they have an ideal replacement, I think they will end up doing that. I think of course, Liverpool have always said they'll never stand in the way of certain players. If certain players want to leave, or they say to the club, like, look, if something was to come in, I would like to accept it. We did it with Sadio Mane. We've done it with other players before, where for Fabinho and Jordan Henderson, Liverpool never stepped in the way of these players making the decision to leave the football club. And I think even now, if Lucho turned around and went, you know what, I want to move to Saudi, I want to get a big massive payday, then I don't think the club would stand in his way. But on a footballing side of things, I would very much like to keep Lucho, and I think many other Liverpool fans are like that as well. They want to keep Lucho for the long term because, again, he's a very good player. And look, I do think maybe something else might happen, but judging from, again, all the information, it does look like he's going to go. Like, I'm looking on social media now, and again, Luis Diaz's partner on Instagram, everybody, again, tweeting out the same thing for Lucho as well. But and somebody else now, I'm looking now, saying what I said just now, that if Matoma's going for X amount, why aren't Liverpool getting that X amount for Luis Diaz? Which, again, it'll be an interesting one anyway. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but moving on then, and we're going to talk again on Caoimhin Kelleher. Of course, if you missed the news earlier on, then please go and check the breaking news video that we had earlier on. But of course, Caoimhin Kelleher is going to be leaving Liverpool to move to Brentford. 12.5 million fee up front, and of course the rest will be in add-ons, leading it up to £18 million, which, judging from the comment section, when I checked it back earlier on, and when I looked at the comments after it, a lot of people are not happy with the price. And I think I said in the show that, of course, it's probably Liverpool doing a helping hand towards Leverkusen because, again, Brentford have been able to get their ideal goalkeeper replacement because, again, Mark Flecken's going to buy a Leverkusen for £10 million, which, again, even that is quite cheap considering they only bought him last summer, I think it is, for like £14 million, I think it was in the end. So again, Liverpool have done Brentford a favour. Of course they have. Absolutely, Liverpool have done, Brentford a decent one, to be fair. But again, judging from a lot of comments, it was the fact that I think a lot of people thought £30-40 million, that's where he'll be at. And that's where I thought he'd be at. I didn't think Liverpool would have sold him for 12.5 million guaranteed fee. Really, supposedly the add-ons are meant to be stuff that's pretty much guaranteed. So again, you can kind of turn around and say, oh, it's £18 million, which is fair enough. But I kind of look at it as well, and I'm like, you could have got more. You could have easily gone for more. And I think, as Scouser said there, surely that's a mates rate as well. Yeah, I think it is. I don't think it's necessarily a thing where Liverpool have walked away going, oh yeah, we've done an amazing deal here. No, I don't think we have at all, because we could have got 25-30 million, but I think we have kind of tried to help it, really, and kind of tried to help Kelleher. Again, you don't know the conversations that have happened behind the scenes. I've said it in the past where, in my opinion, I like, even in the video earlier on, in my opinion, I think Caoimhin Kelleher could have easily gone to a Tottenham or Chelsea and competed there, and being the number one goalkeeper for them, certainly towards Chelsea, because I think for Chelsea, I do think he could easily be the number one, and I do think he could quite easily be, but I think just for now, I think he's probably looking at it and going, well, at Brentford, I'm easily going to be the number one goalkeeper, and also I'm going to be, again, he also has room then to potentially move to a bigger team. Obviously, that's no disrespectful to Brentford, but again, he could easily turn around then and go, oh, maybe after 1 or 2 years, he wants to move on and go and sign for a bigger team, and of course that leaves the possibility there. But I think even at Brentford, I think he'll do amazing. I really do. I do think he'll do a phenomenal job. I think, look, is there an upgrade on Mark Flecken? I think so, personally. I think, Caoimhin Kelleher has been, underrated, really, for some time. But look, it's all about that, isn't it? It's all about what Thomas Frank thinks, and like I said earlier on, though, if for some reason, well, at any point, there is the rumours that Thomas Frank is going to go to, Tottenham. Then again, then the question marks will be like, well, why on earth did Kelleher leave to go to Brentford? But look, I do think it's very interesting, isn't it? It's a very interesting time. Anyway, but look, we'll have to wait and see for certain things anyway. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below anyway. But we will move on, and we're going to talk then about Milos Kerkez. Of course, let me quickly take Scout's comment off. But yeah, talking about Milos Kerkez then. Now, a bid expected soon for Milos Kerkez. Now, obviously, Fabrizio Romano's come out and said a few things today. Of course, he's turned around and said the expectation is that Milos Kerkez will join Liverpool. Liverpool are advancing in club-to-club talks with Bournemouth. Again, they've also turned around and said that I think was it Alex Cook turned around and said that Liverpool expect to have a bid soon for him as well. So again, it is slowly coming together as well, which again, even Sky Sports just now, I think on their transfer show, pretty much confirmed. I think it was Mark McCann turned around and said that again, it's a very key week for Liverpool in the deal for Milos Kerkez. I think he's Bournemouth's head reporter for Sky Sports as well. So again, the Kerkez deal is coming along. Of course, he's already accepted personal terms for Liverpool, so that's not going to be a problem whatsoever. But again, I think, of course, if Liverpool's to end up signing him, he is the best left back in the Premier League as of last season. And again, a deal, as I'm just trying to help. Who's that? Who said that? John Percy said Milos Kerkez, the Bournemouth left back, is another target. And discussions have been held for a deal potentially worth £40 million for the Hungary international. So I'm wondering whether or not it's maybe £35 million plus add-ons for Liverpool, because again, obviously Liverpool spending 30 million on Jeremy Frimpong, 30 plus million for Milos Kerkez sounds about right, to be fair. I don't think, again, the conversation was around £45 million a week ago, but again, Liverpool can get that down to 35 million plus add-ons. Again, I don't think that's a terrible price to buy Milos Kerkez for. I think that's a perfect deal, really, because again, we've kind of got away from obviously the Andy Robertsons of past, where again you could end up signing an absolute baller for £8 million, and then he becomes the best left back in the world at times as well. I do think, though, again, Liverpool are miles better getting Milos Kerkez. Of course, obviously that does open then the door towards whether or not it's going to be Andy Robertson leaving, or whether or not it's going to be Andy Robertson leaving, or what's his name? I forgot his name. Freaking Kostas Tsimikas. There we go. Bloody hell, my head's absolutely gone. But yeah, no, I do think Kostas will leave. Like, of course, he has plenty of suitors going around at the minute. I think there's Leeds going around, which I think, Leeds could be a very good destination for him. I think there's one or two championship teams as well. But again, I think, was it Ipswich as well, also talked about for Kerkez, but not Kerkez, sorry, for Tsimikas. So again, we'll have to wait and see for that. But at the end of the day, the bid is expected next week for Milos Kerkez for Liverpool. But again, next week could literally be Monday. Really, it would be an interesting one anyway. But Bigger B as well saying, if we are spending big, then we are selling big as well. Yeah, true. Well, I think, look, if Diaz leaves, that's what, let's say minimum 70 million for Luis Diaz. Then you've got Darwin Núñez. I think you could get, I think you can get 60 million for Darwin if Saudis come in. 60, 65. I think you can get that. So what's that? Minimum like 130, 140. That's pretty much, that's pretty much Florian Wirtz done. Just with that alone, of course it is. But again, Liverpool want to spend big again. Like there's reports that Liverpool are willing to spend 100 million on a striker, which if that's true, then I'd love to know who the striker is then, really. But of course, there's that. There's other bits and pieces as well. Like I do think it's a interesting situation with the whole leaving players, because it's not only that. Like the thing that's a curveball now again is simply Kelleher. Like if Kelleher had gone for 25 million, I think everyone would go, okay, Liverpool are, going in that direction. But the fact he's gone for 12.5 million guaranteed fee, obviously 18 million pretty much, like that for me is something where you look at it and go, Liverpool just going to be like, okay, if you want to leave, sound, go. Like that's the one for me. But yeah, it'd be interesting anyway. Hey Con, congrats on 4K. Do you think that Diaz message is a goodbye? Looks like it from my point of view. Yeah, I do think it is. Unfortunately as well, because look, I think Lucho for me, like I said, he's last season he was one of Liverpool's best players. He was, but I said it earlier on the show. The only annoying thing about Luis Diaz is end product, and unfortunately, look, if Liverpool could get somebody that could upgrade on that, sure, be amazing. But there isn't many out there that can do it either. But Carl said to me they're looking at Costas as well. Carl said to me Leeds are looking for Costas as well. Yeah, I think he will go Leeds because I think they are looking for obviously a replacement for is it Junior Firpo? Obviously, I think he's gone to Lyon as well. Thank you, Yaz, as well, saying clickbait. We will get on to that Wirtz as well. Of course, it says rejected, but look, it's positive news with it. Let's just say that. About left back can go Hato or younger player Liverpool. Again, I don't think Hato would be looked at as a left back really. I think he'd be looked at as a fullback, not fullback, as a centre half. Sorry, as well. But again, obviously, Ryan Gravenberch is currently on holiday with Hato. So whether or not there's a bit of tapping up there, you never know. But well, a legal tap up anyway. To be fair, but again, we'll have to wait and see. High thoughts on Fofana from Lyon as a replacement for Diaz, quality youngster. I've not seen. Look, I'm not going to say I watch him week in, week out. I've not watched him week in, week out. But I looked at him. Was it yesterday? I think it was, or the day before. He is very, very talented for his age, but I don't know whether or not you'd go and spend 40 million euros on that type of player. I don't think you would. I don't think Liverpool would anyway. Because even with Michael Edwards as sporting director, he'd never go with that type of player of like, oh, everybody's talking about they could be the next best thing. It was always the players that once you got evidence of, like Sadio Mane, I think is the perfect one, where at Southampton everyone was talking about like, oh, he could take the next step up, and then Liverpool took, I think Liverpool played Southampton, didn't he? And then Sadio Mane helped them obviously come back to beat us, and then Liverpool were determined then to sign Sadio Mane away, got him away from Manchester United, other teams as well that were spoken about at the time. But he was somebody that then took that next step and absolutely took off with it. And that's when Liverpool will do something. But again, Fofana, I think, has only had one season, I think, in top flight football. I don't think he's had much more. So again, I think it'd be a bit too early, a bit too premature then to give him that type of of move anyway. But yes, Firpo going to Lyon or Milan. Yeah, I think he'll go to. I think he's already a here we go on Lyon, isn't it? For Firpo anyway. But Scouse says, imagine Garnacho come and we developed him properly. No, absolutely not. Garnacho is an absolute terrible footballer. Never, ever, ever want to see us linked to Garnacho, because that's a horrible one to have, really. In my opinion, anyway. Of course, other people might, you might disagree with me, of course, but no, like, he's Jesus Christ, like, out of all the United players, like, if you had to sit somebody down and go, right, that is, you have one player to take from Man United, and you have to sign somebody from Manchester United. Who are you going to sign? Garnacho would probably be at the bottom of the list. To be fair, it's a pretty low list of United players anyway. But it would be pretty low, in my opinion, anyway, for him, because he's just attitude-wise not great, really. Anyway, but look, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but what else do we have? Anyways, so we will move on from I lost my head then. From Milos Kerkez. Geez, great, my head's absolutely gone in the minute, chat. But we will move from Milos Kerkez and talk about Harvey Elliott then. So, as of right now, Harvey Elliott is supposed to be leaving Liverpool. Now, it does go on to say, as you guys can see there, the Harvey Elliott to leave. Now, this is in connection with Florian Wirtz, so do take a minute anyway. So, according to Florian Plintenberg, let me quickly get his name up there. So there we go. So you guys can hopefully see on screen right now, as it does say, but there, Bayer Leverkusen have the idea to include Harvey Elliott or Jarell Konza in the deal for Florian Wirtz. There is no final decision on this yet, but talks are ongoing. So from what we understand, and judging from what people have also said, including, adding to this, is that they are trying to now add a Liverpool player to the deal. And it also confirms with this as well, in terms of, again, the bid update then, and what kind of the both of them link with each other anyway, because it's not just, that you've also got another bid for it where, again, Harvey Elliott could be used, Joel Konza could also be used. For me, I don't think Milos Kerkez, don't think Joel Konza will be used personally. I do think it will be Harvey that will be used. But with the whole Wirtz situation, so this is the bit that I want to obviously link to. As it does say, but there, Bayer Leverkusen and Liverpool FC are still quite far apart on the transfer fee for Florian Wirtz. The gap is more than 20 million euros. Both Liverpool's first and second bid have been rejected. Leverkusen still wants at least 150 million euros. There are two possible solutions. Either the club narrow the gap in further rounds of negotiations, or a Liverpool player could be moved to Leverkusen, thereby preventing the transfer fee to be rising any further. This is why, again, Harvey Elliott or Jarell Konza's names have been mentioned. I think more so Harvey Elliott, because, again, it is a like-for-like replacement. Liverpool get, their number 10 in Florian Wirtz. Obviously, Leverkusen get Harvey Elliott then to replace Florian Wirtz. But it does go on to say, but there as well, Leverkusen have one Liverpool player on its list who they would like to sign, and whose transfer seems realistic in principle, but it's highly questionable that Harvey Elliott or any other English LFC player who is in high demand by Premier League would decide to move to the Bundesliga. Should this happen, however, Bayer Leverkusen could relatively fill one of the two offensive gaps that would result from Wirtz's departure as well. So realistically, has the bid been rejected? In some words, yes, it has, because look, they've not accepted Liverpool's terms. They are negotiating on terms, in terms of, again, the whole bid. Now, what has just come out about 5 minutes ago, if I can quickly find it right now, from Kicker themselves, saying the final fee for Florian Wirtz will be in excess of 140 million euros and likely even above the 150 million mark. So with that would be, above what, 120 million as well. But But they've also turned around and said the likely sale of Florian Wirtz allows Bayer Leverkusen to invest heavily into a new defensive boss, a playmaker, and a winger. Leverkusen want to put together a team that meets the highest national standard, despite all the profile departures as well. So, again, I think it's an interesting one at the moment where, for me, judging from the words that are going around, again, Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen, they're in conversation at the minute. Supposedly they've been in conversation all weekend as well. And for me, I think that it will get sorted out. I think some people are like, oh, Liverpool taking too long. This whole situation's taking way too long. For me, as things are right now, I would personally say Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen are on the right track. They absolutely are. Now, the whole Harvey Elliott Wirtz situation is simple as this. The Wirtz deal is completely separate to anything Liverpool do or anything that both teams will do. The Harvey Elliott and Florian Wirtz deals, they are completely separate. Now, Liverpool want, again, 130 million euros. Leverkusen want 150. Again, they're most likely going to compromise of both being between 140 then. But Liverpool will get money back. Of course, they're going to sell Harvey Elliott. Again, if he wants to go to the Bundesliga, which he most unlikely would want to, I think he'd much rather move to the Bundesliga than he would the Premier League, because, again, he doesn't have to face up against Liverpool. He'd end up playing, again, for the second best team in Germany, obviously behind Bayern Munich. So looking at that, again, I wonder whether or not it'll be an interesting point, for that at least anyway. But well, no offense to them, and I could be wrong, but can you imagine Harvey or Drell learning German? No, not really. But again, you never know. To be fair, but also says, do you think we'll sign a new 9 or stick with Nunes and Yeah, no, we will. We'll definitely sign a new striker. I think in the summer. But again, that's another question for another time. Anyway, but judging from the news that is coming out from Kelleher, you would think it's going to be done more or less. I would say, because again, even even Fabrizio Romano on his podcast, he's turned around and said, we are about to enter an important week for Florian Wirtz because Liverpool hope to close the deal. They are advancing well in conversations with Leverkusen. They are discussing the structure of add-ons, and the talks are positive. Over the weekend, talks were positive also. Very good exchange between all parties involved. The understanding is very optimistic, and the expectation is to get the deal done in the next days as well. The one thing that is interesting, and I don't know whether or not it's a final for Germany as well, because of course they do, realistically, Germany are, I think, playing on Wednesday in the Nations League, but I don't know if they need to win it to get to the Nations League final. I'm guessing so, because again of how important people are talking about it. So again, even if Liverpool do agree a transfer, minimum it's not going to be until Thursday until Liverpool get a medical sorted, unless of course we get something done within the next 24 hours. But I think for me personally, looking at it, I think it's just a matter of days really until we get the here we go then really from Fabrizio Romano. As I would say, Liverpool are just sorting little kinks out of the transfers in the Wirtz deal, and then they'll start having conversations then about about a Harvey Elliott type deal. Again, if Harvey Elliott wants that type of deal, because again, it's a very difficult situation, isn't it? Because again, look, Liverpool are going to go and sign one of the best 10s in the world, but we're also letting go in somebody that, again, for a big period, I think the club has put all their faith into him really, and trying to develop. But it's quite clear that Arne Slot does not rate Harvey Elliott as high as what Jurgen Klopp did. As well, because again, you look throughout the games, he hasn't trusted Harvey at all. So for me, again, it makes sense. And I also think for Harvey, look at, again, I don't really want to compare it, but look at what Jude Bellingham's done, for example. Went to Germany, could easily, go to a top team if it works out great in Germany as well. But I kind of look at it and go as well, Liverpool should include a buyback option, and I think they will do it with Harvey as well, because again, if Harvey develops another couple of years in the Bundesliga and gets even better, then again, Liverpool should be the first ones to go, oh, no, look, we want him back at the football club. It'll be very interesting anyway. But for me, I think the deal will get done very soon anyway, but we will have to wait and see for any other bits of news that does pop out anyway over the next couple of days. And again, if we do have a Here We Go, we'll be live for it straight away anyway. But look, I'm going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Big thank you for everyone for tuning in to tonight's show. For me, again, I hope we hear news in the next 24 hours about it anyway. But look, any bits of news will be live for it anyway. Again, if you are new around here, please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. We do have a show coming up. I believe it's tomorrow. I think it is. It's going to be this. Again, that's the thumbnail. So again, take your eyes on that. Anyway, but yeah, that's the show for tomorrow. Anyway, it might be tomorrow, it might be Tuesday. I think it might be Tuesday more than anything. But yeah, any bits of news will be live for it anyway. We'll just go, not go live, and then we'll end up Boston in then. But is that Ekatike? They can't. Maybe not. You don't know who it is. You can't see who it is. Anyway, but look, any bits of news will be live for it anyway. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekends as well, wherever you are around the world. Anyway, and yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed watching the Champions League last night as well, because that was a very good game. But look, as well, I want Liverpool to win that next season. And hopefully Liverpool sending Florian Wirtz will be the link up to that anyway. Anyway, and no, Scouser, it's not Hoyland. I can easily confirm that it's not Hoyland whatsoever. Jesus Christ. Get that thought out of your head now anyway. But look, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your days anyway. But yeah, I've been Connor from the COP Council. We'll see you guys later on. Ta-ra.